We are going to hear from Lee of the band Pop Evil, and they are going to be your headliner out at the Northwoods Rock Rally, which is happening in Glen, Flora, Wisconsin. It gets underway Thursday, August 17th and runs through Saturday, August 19th, so it's going to be 3 days of some awesome rock bands up there in Glen, Flora at the Rock Rally. A lot of great bands going to be there, including Pop Evil, Royal Bliss, Soil, Otherwise, Taproot, Smile, Empty Soul. Wayland will be rocking out up there. Sleep Signals, Line of Loyalty, Flaw, Small Town Titans, The Lonely Ones, Beyond Threshold, and many more. It is going to be an awesome show. Hopefully you got your hands on some tickets for that bad boy. And as I mentioned, I talked with Lee, who is a member of Pop Evil, and they are ready to rock out up there at the Rock Rally. And we talked about some touring they're doing right now, some new music they have out, and much more. Well, starting out, I want to talk a little bit about this tour you guys have coming up. You've got quite a few dates scheduled throughout July and August, and one of those dates is going to be at the Northwoods Rock Rally here in Wisconsin, up in Glen, Flora. Can you talk a little bit about that tour?
We're excited. We just had a big kind of a spring and European tour that we just got off of. So we're on a little bit of a break at the moment, and then we gear up and just super excited about our summer touring season that starts here on July 13th. And obviously the rally is a big part of that. And, we're looking forward to finally being back to some summer touring, man. We're stoked.
All right. Awesome. And how did that touring overseas go?
Touring's been incredible overseas. Was everyone was coming out, and just it was exciting that kind of again seeing the pandemic. I hate saying the P word, right? But it's
Right.
kind of putting it behind us a bit, and it was great because we've had so many cancellations to get to Europe for so many different reasons, and to finally see everyone come out and see us, we didn't know what to expect, but it was just people were really craving it, so it was really promising.
All right, that's excellent. And, of course, you did mention the pandemic there, but how was it for you guys during that time? Of course, bands weren't able to do a lot of touring and whatnot. Did you spend a lot of time working on your music, or did you have a big social media presence? How did you kind of get through that time?
Yeah, we did. We spent a lot of time being creative and really recharging a lot of batteries. I think at first it was really scary, depressing, we were angry. Whatever, all those emotions I think we all felt at first. And then when we really set in, it was like, wow, we should take advantage of this time off because we never get any, so once we kind of really set into that, it was like, let's focus on the things we can control. And then we could definitely control our creativity and really focused on how to make our live shows better when we were able to come back, and then I think we had a 2021 season. We started kind of a summer tour. I ended up getting COVID, so I was off for 2 weeks. It was brutal. And then came back to that. And then in 2022, we had another summer season we did. And then that was pretty much it. So it was very limited touring. And then this year we were set to kind of, okay, let's come back in full swing and really get this dialed in. And, so far so good. I don't want to get my hopes up yet, but hopefully we can get to December. Then, it'd be the first full season back since 2019. And, we're just excited, man. New album, new music is always a good thing. And we're just focused on the new record and performing these things live.
All right, excellent. And that was actually going to be my next question, since you mentioned that, is that new album, Skeletons, that you just released back in March, I believe it was. Can you talk a little bit about that? What was that like, putting your newest album together compared to some of your previous albums?
Yeah, first big difference was we had more time. Obviously, we just talked about, so that was refreshing. We had on the last album too, we were set to kind of go with the fourth single. We had a lot of success on that last album with Survivor and Breathe Again going number one. So we had some momentum. We were getting ready for a fourth single, and then we wrote Eye of the Storm. So, we got the call from management that we were going to go with the first single on the new record rather than a fourth single or any more on that latest record at the time. And we were going, we're like, let's do it. So that kind of with the success then of Eye of the Storm, it was like, wow, okay, well, let's dive into this new record even more seriously. And we kind of were focused on getting back to our roots. This album was like stripping us back to the bones. What were the things that we really loved about, the success of Pop Evil, and what were things that we felt like we could do better. And once we got in, we needed the right producer, so we sat in with Drew Falk, who we'd worked with kind of here and there before this album, and we know we had so much momentum with him. It felt like every time we left him, we always wanted to do more. And so finally we got with Drew and I'm like, look, can you do the full record? Would you be willing? And he agreed. And then, it was awesome to kind of just get his leadership. I mean, I think every great album has to have a great producer, that kind of, that sixth member that kind of comes in and can really direct the band and the vision and kind of, hone us in and steer us in the right direction. Drew certainly did that on this album, and this thing starting to take shape as we were writing it. It just felt great. The band was gelling. We were very, we were getting, there was a closeness, I think, for the band that we hadn't had before, just pre-pandemic times. Mm-hmm. I think we all just appreciated the things that we weren't able to do for all those years. And it was like, look, let's just get back. And I think there was a support system that we had with each other that certainly was different on the other albums. We got our record deal when we were young, and we just kind of just went with the flow. Now it was like, okay, strategic, that's not going to work. We don't want to do that. Let's do this. Let's do this. So I think that every album you get more and more comfortable with who you are in the studio. Mm-hmm. And this album certainly is the evolution of, Pop Evil and where we're at now. And we really wanted to use this album especially. That was spearheaded from the last one too, that could really kind of give our fan base what's the right word? Just a more consistent, sound from Pop Evil and where we're going for the future.
Okay. All right. Cool. Very cool. And now, as a band, when you get more and more albums, under your belt, do you find it difficult to kind of juggle, the sound that maybe people first heard with some of those earlier albums, and then maybe trying to branch off and try something a little bit new? I mean, is that something difficult for you guys as a band to juggle?
I mean, it's a challenge for sure, because you have a fan base that you kind of created over the past years of your catalog, but at the same time you're growing. There's different band members that have come and gone. I think that the modern day rock and roll band, it requires you to be on the road more. It's a singles business, right? You're mm-hmm. next song, next single, next tour. So it's so much quicker, I feel like, than it was in the past. So it's so important as people come and go, as the times change, that you kind of try to be as fresh as you can to bring your younger audience. It's not like it was in the heyday, right? When rock was on TV all the time and the younger audiences were getting exposed to your music and your band. You have to be creative in bringing that younger audience. So let's be real. Rock bands of our era are going to have to probably play into our 60s and 70s. Like we'll see how long Papa Roach and Shinedown keep going. You know what I mean? Like we came after those bands. So we're kind of watching some of our big brothers and like, how are they, and they're still thriving. Those are bands that have been radio bands that have, endured through the test of time, and they keep getting that younger crowd to keep giving them energy and keep the tickets going. So, you have the words. So trying to watch what other bands are doing, and then of course watching what the younger bands are doing, how they're infusing some of that younger technology that is it's different to us bands that have been around the block when it was just the old school methods. These young kids are coming up just so skilled in this new technology and flipping this. Next thing you know, you hear this guitar tone you've never heard. You're like, wow, that's awesome. Could that be Pop Evil? Let's try. You know what I mean? So you just kind of are having fun with the yin and yang of that, the new generation of rock and metal, and then of course infusing it with just the old things that you've done in the past and respecting your fan bases that have been there, but not afraid to at the same time not afraid to grow and just be comfortable and make sure there's guitars that hit. And at the end of the day, if it's got good drums and the guitars are slapping, then it should be okay,
Right, exactly. All right, well said.
In theory, right?
Right, yeah, exactly. All right. Well, I think I've taken up enough of your time here this afternoon, but if you could, of course, just remind people where they can go if they want to, get their hands on some merch, listen to some of your new music, all that good stuff.
Yeah, you can always find us on popevil.com, and of course we're on all the social media platforms, the typical Instagram, Facebook, what do you think? Instagram, and don't forget MySpace. Joking. I'm kidding.
Right.
MySpace, but I had to say it.
Right, exactly.
Might as well give them a plug. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
We're everywhere. Wherever you can get it and come see us on this summer tour. We're stoked to see everyone.